A British physicist is on a mission to bring recognition to hundreds of unknown women scientists. Since 2017, Jessica Wade has written nearly 1,800 Wikipedia pages for female and minority scientists and engineers whose accomplishments were not documented on the site.
Jessica Wade joins us now to tell us more. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Does this stem from the fact that women are still somewhat pushed down in the world of science?
I guess it stems from the fact that women are still somewhat pushed down in the world, in society in general. You know, science doesn't do enough to celebrate them, and society doesn't do enough. So I really wanted to use Wikipedia as a platform to tell these stories, to kind of inspire future generations, but also celebrate these phenomenal scientists and engineers whose contributions to discovery and understanding have historically been overlooked.
So the average person can post things on Wikipedia, but is there some type of an editorial process? I mean, did Wikipedia know they had a gender gap for these things?
For sure. Wikipedia can feel really complete, right? Because there's an awful lot of articles on there, but there aren't enough pages about women. There aren't enough pages about people from other historically excluded groups. And particularly in topics like science, which are changing all of the time, even if content on Wikipedia is up there, it often becomes outdated. So it's really important for scientists to be involved with that editing. But actually, there's been a gender gap on Wikipedia since it began kind of 20 years ago. And a bunch of us have been trying to rectify it. I've just spent the last 4 years spending every single evening writing about women and people of color and people from other historically excluded groups. So we really remember their incredible contributions to our understanding of the world.
Well, let's talk about a few of these very, very quickly. The first one is Kim Cobb. Tell us about her.
Yeah, Kim Cobb was the first Wikipedia page I put up. She is now a professor at Brown. She's heading up a new Institute on Climate in the Society. But actually, Kim, I met her a few years ago. I met her before I even knew about Wikipedia. She's one of these phenomenal people who goes out on ocean missions collecting ice cores and corals and looks at the chemistry of those to understand how humans have impacted climate change, but really wants society to be involved in that effort, in how we can all work together to protect the planet we love. So when I met Kim and knew about how incredible she was scientifically and academically, I was very surprised to not find her on Wikipedia.
And how about Clarice Phelps?
Clarice Phelps is another incredible American scientist who's done so much for the world. Clarice contributed to the discovery of a new element in the periodic table. And when we get to these kind of elements we're at now, they're so heavy, they don't occur naturally. They're really difficult to make. So now scientists have to make the isotopes, they have to test it. And Clarice is one of these isotope chemists, these Navy scientists who's had an extraordinary contribution to understanding it.
And real quick, Gladys West.
Gladys West is just an all-time hero. She's from Virginia. She studied maths at university. She then worked for the US government on the maths behind GPS. So if you're currently in a car looking at your sat nav, that came from maths created by Gladys West.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
She's now on Wikipedia.
Well, your efforts are amazing. How many profiles have you created on Wikipedia? Is it 2,000?
Nearly. I'm nearly there. We'll have a big party when I'm there. I'm at 1,769.
It's pretty amazing. You can check out more at 500womenscientists.org. You can follow Jessica on Twitter. Thanks so much, Jessica.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.